So we're working on, we're Frostkeep Studios. We're working on a game called Rend, which is a faction, team-based, competitive survival game. So as you create your character, you pick one of the 3 factions in the game. We've created a character on Order, which is our orange faction, and you are assigned to that faction, which can have up to 20 players online at a time. So our servers support up to 60 people. The important things about being on a faction is basically you are all working together to win the game. This is a long scale game. So our typical sagas, which are like our game sessions, last about a month. So as part of the way you win the game is you work with your teammates to collect spirits. As you collect spirits, they get deposited in that stone in your base automatically. And then the scoreboard, which is the giant world tree Yggdrasil, in the middle of the map, shows your progress, which you can view the progress of all the factions by going to various places on the map. So the important things about our survival game. The big one is that faction shield right there. There's a force field that surrounds your base, that protects your base from being raided, keeps everything inside safe most of the time. There's a couple nights a week on our official servers. We have ones that run with 2 nights a week and ones that run with three times a week. That those faction shields will come down, will spawn waves of creatures called the Lost during an event we call the Reckoning. So during the Reckoning, these Lost creatures spawn. They're attacking your base, attacking your walls, trying to get into your base, attack the Divinity Stone in the center, and pull those spirits that you've collected out, which basically sets you back, puts you further and further away from winning the game. After you've fended them off, the faction shields stay down for another hour. So this is when our PvP like wartime is. Each faction has to deal with their own Reckoning event, and then they're basically rushing to patch up their walls and then determine whether they want to stay on defense and defend their base, or whether they want to go attack and raid another base. So the reason we implemented all this, like we have a lot of traditional survival game mechanics, and this is sort of one of our big departures, is that we love the idea of the war in PvP or in survival games. We really want that conflict and people actually fighting each other, and you don't always get that. A lot of times you do a bunch of work, log off, and then sometime in the middle of the night somebody comes through, blows a hole in your base, takes all your stuff. Next morning you log in and everything's gone, and that wasn't particularly engaging or exciting for either party. Like, oh, I'm so excited I got to steal a bunch of stuff. Cool, you got resources. I'm really pissed off that my base is gone and I didn't even get to do anything about it. By encouraging faction warfare to happen at a specific time when you know it's going to happen, it's scheduled, it allows us to really encourage that war. And so far, from what we've seen from our players in early access, it's working. Like, most of our players love the Reckoning PvP times. They are all about raiding and defending, and there's been a lot of interesting videos that have come out of exciting base raids. So with our game, you get a lot of the traditional survival game things. You chop down trees, collect wood, harvest plants, get some fiber, make some clothes, rope, and basically standard crafting stuff. What we wanted to do is add a little bit more meaning and depth and progression to that. So basically, we have a bunch of skills in our game that as you cut down a plant, as you chop a tree, you get better at doing those things. You'll be able to do them faster, get more resources, basically become more efficient. But even on top of that, each skill has a perk tree that's associated with it. So as you hit milestones in that tree, you basically get to choose one of 2 perks at each of the milestones. And some of these things are pretty powerful. They allow you to customize your gameplay. That's one of the big core tenets that we have for our characters on Rend, is that we want people to be different. At the end game, we want characters to feel different so that they need each other, because it is a social game. You are playing in a faction with a bunch of other people, and if everyone can do everything, then you don't necessarily need each other or have to rely on each other for as much. We have talents, and we allow you to pick up to 2 archetypes. And these archetypes basically are sort of like classes. They inform the abilities you're going to be gaining, the benefits that you have versus the other classes. The assassin is going to be good at, stealth, burst damage, long range combat, has some poison stuff thrown in. Warlord's more of a upfront, in your face, defensive stuff to hold their own, and then also has a lot of group buffs to basically lead their team into combat. Every creature in our game, with the exception of the lost that attack your base, are tameable and can be used as pets, and most of them can be used as mounts as well. So here's our Ascension UI. Basically, there's perks sorted into different things, and as you spend more points, you unlock new tiers of things to continue down and unlock. One of my favorite ones is the favorite companion trait, which basically allows you to favorite a pet that you've obtained during a match or during a saga, and then you can, when the saga ends, you'll be able to carry that pet forward with you. So sagas, when we initially set out and started designing them, we were planning around 2 months, because with our research and other survival games, players would play for about 2 months and then typically burn out or sort of just like peter off in the game. That was probably a little bit too long, so we've adjusted the balance a little bit and tried to pull it back down closer to about a 1 month time frame. We found that works out pretty well, and then players can push that a little bit faster or end up taking a little bit slower depending on how much time they invest. We have both personal base building and then base building on the faction base. The way we do base building is we wanted to make it fast to plan out a base and sort of lay out your structure, and cheap so that you don't have to have a ton of resources to start building a base. So with just a few resources, you can quickly set up some stick frames. These are super weak and temporary, basically, but they allow you to try things out and basically plan. And then as you collect more resources, you can upgrade these frames into more permanent structures. Our crafting progression is organized into trees. So basically, this is our basic survival tree, which is effectively our tutorial starter tree. As you acquire resources, you can craft things, and then when you craft things, it unlocks more recipes, basically. So we have over 100 of these trees right now, so there's just a ton of progress to do. Some of the trees are more straightforward, some of the trees are a lot more involved, and what we want is to basically to provide players with the opportunity to distinguish themselves as, I am the skilled armor crafter, I'm going to be the best at crafting these kinds of armor, and if anyone on my faction wants that kind of armor, they should come to me, bring me the materials, or I'll have one ready for them. So we just launched in early access on Steam about 3 weeks ago, no more than a year. Yeah. We've kind of made a commitment to ourselves that none of us want to work on a game that's early access for more than a year, so we're doing everything we can to get it out and get that full release tag on it. Our target plan is about 9 months.